All right. Okay.
Welcome back, everybody, to the next edition of the AFL Madden 17 Team Selection Podcast. And bear with me while I get it all set up so it looks nice and pretty as you're watching it. Tonight we are joined by two of our three regular co-hosts. What's going on, Stokes?
Chew.
And RVD is here. What's up, RVD?
Howdy.
Magic is running a little bit late tonight. He'll be popping on with us at some point, and then we welcome your calls once teams are announced. If you're one of the owners that's announced, feel free to call in. Otherwise, if you have a very strong opinion on some of the teams that are announced, feel free to call in. I'm going to check to make sure that our levels are coming in loud and clear, and they are. So, guys, let's get this rolling. We've done two divisions so far, the AFC East and the NFC West. NFC West had a little bit of controversy along the way. And then we told guys this week, Stokes, that this Thursday show was going to be entertaining.
Yeah, absolutely. This is one of the divisions I've been waiting for to be released, and when it all shook out. So I'm happy that it won the vote.
And I think as I move the presentation ahead here, there we go. The four teams we're going to be looking at tonight are obviously the NFC South teams, the Atlanta Falcons, New Orleans Saints, Tampa Bay Bucks, Carolina Panthers. None of these teams, I would say, were in the highest level of popularity. RVD, who do you think was the most popular of these teams? Was it Carolina or Tampa Bay?
I would say Carolina. I seem to see a lot more of Carolina than anyone else, and I'm guessing the boost that they're going to get from how high power that team was this year or this last year would definitely play a part in that, especially now that we see what Cam Newton looks like.
Yeah, and we started getting some of the rookie ratings released today too, or yesterday, and then we got the quarterbacks out today, and like RVD mentioned, Cam Newton looks like a beast. It looks like deep throw accuracy is back to being roided as it was a couple years ago, which I think is good because in MUT it ended up being in the 90s anyway, and then in franchise mode it was so easy to put the guys in the 90s, you might as well start the studs off there anyway. So let's get into it. Let's reveal our first NFC South team, and it is... Wait a minute. What is this? Stokes, did you play a trick on the people?
I think I might have. Surprise, guys. Josh won a Super Bowl.
Did you put a slide in from my Super Bowl victory?
Look at that.
This is awkward.
Look at those Bills.
I mean...
T-Mobile.
You're just trying to throw me off my game here. I should just bypass this real quick, but I guess we got to talk about it, so...
Yes.
Yeah, the Bills won a Super Bowl, and... Percy Harvin was so good, and Kelly Burke is not happy. All right. That's enough of that. You guys hear that enough on every other show. Let's find out our first NFC South team. First team we're going to talk about tonight is the Atlanta Falcons, and they're going to a former Super Bowl champion. He won the AFL, was it season 3 this year? JD, he has vaulted up our list of top owners, not only as far as activity goes and quality, but also ability on the field. JD is a perennial Super Bowl contender. He's a real-life Falcons fan, and he gets his squad. RVD, I think this is a situation where he not only gets a team with his heart, but I think the Falcons are a team that's interesting to start with in Madden. They have some weapons.
Yeah, definitely. The Falcons look a whole lot better this year, and I think even last year than years before. They're starting to become more and more of a popular franchise team.
Stokes, when you look at this team, obviously they don't have a young quarterback on the roster. Matt Ryan isn't what you would consider JD, elite quarterback to build your team around in NFL or AFL. But they do have some pieces. They obviously have Julio. Devontae Freeman is a very agile running back. We know how important agility is to guys like Stokes. Desmond Trufant is one of my favorite young cornerbacks in the game, and they drafted a beast linebacker in Deion Jones. Stokes, your overview of the Falcons and the fit for JD.
I think they will fit pretty well. One thing that JD is going to be able to do, I think, is build off of the team he has. I think I could see him trading Julio to get some of the pieces that the Falcons are missing, because JD doesn't really rely much on needing that elite wide receiver. So I can see him trading Julio to get the ancillary pieces to fit what he wants to do with the Falcons. And I think the Falcons have a nice defense. They got Vic Beasley. I always like him in franchise modes because he's got the speed and the strength. So I think this team is going to fit what JD wants to do.
And I also I don't see JD being the homer type to where I know Stokes is bad about this. I know I'm bad about this. To where if you've got your team, there's a lot of guys in there that you won't trade, and you going in you won't trade. I don't think JD will be like that. I think he'll go in and he's going to do what's best for his Madden game.
Well, guys, JD is actually wanting to join us, and since we're down a guy right now and we're talking about his team, I don't think there's any better time to bring him in than right now, because I don't even know if he's aware that he has the Falcons. We're going to bring him up right now and get his opinion on the team as it's dialing him up. Interesting to see where the rest of this division goes. We promised some drama along the way. We've only revealed the Falcons, but they go to a former Super Bowl champion in JD. He gets his favorite team. And JD, are you with us?
I am. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. What are your thoughts on landing your Falcons in AFL?
That sounds good, man. Sounds like fun. First time I've been able to have the Falcons in AFL, so that's pretty cool.
I guess restart wasn't a thing to you, huh?
Restart.
AFL restart.
Yeah, it was a thing.
It was a thing. It was a thing. But yeah, you had a lot going on there, so it's forgivable that Falcons were your number one priority. But we were just talking about the fact that, yes, this is probably a bit of a homer pick, but they do have some Madden gems on this roster. Deion Jones, a linebacker they drafted this year in the draft, is going to be a nice complement to Vic Beasley, who they got last year. They got some speed on defense, some playmakers on offense. What are your favorite parts about this team?
Well, I think that there's a lot of parts that are pretty exciting as far as Madden goes. I mean, Keanu Neal, I know he wasn't in the top 5 rookies, but he's still going to be a good asset to have at strong safety. And then the other thing about the linebackers is, Quinn actually drafted 2 fast linebackers, and you got Deion Jones from LSU, but also Devondre Campbell, who run a 4.57, I think, at the combine. So a couple really good fast players, and then Grady Jarrett at defensive tackle has got some speed. Then we have Derek Shelby and then Vic Beasley. Jeez, I got tongue tied there. So there's gonna be a lot of speed on the field.
And offensively, Roddy White did move on, but he's been kind of a nothing the last couple of years in Madden. Who'd they get? They got Mohamed Sanu to pair with Julio Jones. They still have Hester, but really it's the Julio Jones show. But for a guy like you who's a good runner, you have a combination of Freeman and Coleman, and then you can always throw deep balls to Julio. But you also mentioned on the PS4 podcast that last year in PS4 with Atlanta, the first thing you did was trade Julio. So I don't think guys should be surprised with any move you might make.
No, and that's because I'll run a couple years of franchise on my own on an offline and just see what the drafts look like and see what's hard to get, see what's easy to get. So I knew that corners, there was monster corners, and so when I traded Julio, it was a very controversial trade. I was able to procure a lot of pieces with one trade, and some folks felt like I got a little too much, 2 ton, and I probably did. But anyway, so so I did it because the deal was right.
All right, and Magic is trying to call in, so I'm going to add him to the call now, and then we will find out who JD's division rivals are going to be, as so far we found out that JD is going to the Atlanta Falcons. So let me bring Magic up on this call here. He just now got home, and he's kind enough to join us mid-podcast. Magic, are you with us?
How much have I missed?
You've missed... Well, for one, somebody accidentally threw in a slide of my Super Bowl championship. I'm trying to get to the bottom of it, guys, because these are very serious team reveal shows, and we don't have time to talk about the past. But there was this really nice slide showing all the highlights of my Super Bowl win over KJ and my trophy. I don't know who did that, but I'm going to try to find out for you guys.
We should get Goodell on it. He's all about these meaningless crimes.
And then we found out that JD's going to the Falcons. Magic, before we move on to his division rivals, any thoughts on the Falcons? You've been doing a lot of digging into these rosters throughout this process. What stands out to you about the Falcons?
Julio Jones' real name is Quintorris.
That is awkward. JD, are you aware of that?
I did know that.
Okay, I didn't know that, and Magic and I found out basically the same day, and that took up about 6 hours of chat between us as we kept making jokes about it. So
I'm just joking. I had no idea.
I had no idea either.
Quintorris Lopez Jones.
Really?
Yeah.
And he goes by Julio. You go.
I mean, I would too, wouldn't you?
Fair enough.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's find out who JD's division rivals are, and I'm looking forward to seeing his reaction through all this because the first one we're going to talk about is the New Orleans Saints, and the Saints owner for Madden 17 is going to be
Dun, dun, dun.
dun, 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 KJ, another former AFL Super Bowl champion. KJ has 4 Super Bowl wins under his belt. We should mention also that JD had the Falcons number 1 on his list. KJ had the Saints number 1 on his list, so it is possible to get the top team on your list if you don't put all the chalk teams on your list and if you're good owners like JD and KJ. Stokes, I think the thing about the Saints, a lot of people look at them like they're an aging team without a lot of talent, and a lot of that points to the fact they have a quarterback in Drew Brees who's on the very far wrong side of 30, approaching 40. But when you dig deeper into that roster, there is some young talent there.
Absolutely. I think that the Saints do have some good pieces, and I think they acquired Kobe Fleener, who is always a Madden beast, and since they got rid of Jimmy Graham, so they were able to supplement that with Kobe Fleener, and I think they have a lot of good young pieces, and what makes it even better is because KJ is going to be able to take over the Saints, and I think he'll be even more passionate about making them better because that's his squad. So this is a good fit. I don't think they're an awful team, but they're good, I guess.
Well, JD, what's your initial reaction to finding out that a 4-time AFL Super Bowl champion KJ is in your division?
I'd say this division's already better than that last crap we looked at.
I think it was better when your name was on. Well, no, Cheesem was in there. Yeah, okay, yeah. So it's definitely better than the NFC South so far. West.
I mean, you've got a couple Super Bowl champs already. I mean, so it's going to be interesting. It's going to be.
Can't go anywhere but down from here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's going to be a battle. Me and KJ have had some battles. We've had some playoff battles, and we've gone down to the wire several times. It's going to be a fight.
Magic, I know that the Saints hit 2 things on your checklist that are very important. They play in a dome, and they have a lot of uniform options.
Pretty sweet uniforms, though.
Underrated uniforms.
I feel like they are. We do our top 5 list, and I think the Saints always get left off. I agree with you, though. I was actually looking at the Saints. I think they're
ugly.
a better team than. Oh, well, the Falcons also have top 5 uniforms, so that's kind of fair.
And the Panthers.
What a good division!
This is a great division.
Aside from the creamsicles.
Go ahead, Magic.
I actually agree with you. I think the Saints are maybe a sneaky good team. Like if you got them in a league where you were like picking in the 20s and you got the Saints, I think you'd be pretty happy with what you got there because you have Drew Brees, you have Garrett Grayson or whatever his first name is.
Yeah.
And you got good people. I need ketchup, man. I'm disoriented right now.
You got some good people. You sound like Donald Trump. They've got good people.
Like all the best people.
They're
all
the
best.
best. They're the best. It's fantastic. Unless they
I
don't
know
vote
them.
for
I've
me.
talked to them all, and they're great.
That's all great. Are we going to bring that back?
Some of my best friends are Saints fans.
RVD, obviously, when you get a quarterback like Drew Brees and he's 38, you know the clock is ticking, but it's definitely cushions the blow when you have a prospect like Garrett Grayson at the second string position that you can build up.
Yeah, it's always great to have someone there in the background that you can rely on. If you have someone that you plan on trading, or if you have someone that you could definitely lose through age, so it's definitely good to have that backup.
All right, well, we are getting an echo from somebody, so if somebody's unplugged their head...
I don't know if that's me. I could hear it while I was talking.
Okay. We'll find out. I don't hear it anymore, so whoever it is fixed it. All right, so we have 2 down, but so far this division is already looking similar to the AFC East where it's top-heavy. Is there going to be depth? Because we noticed in the AFC East, no offense to Mega and Flip, that it fell off a little bit after the top 2. We have 2 former Super Bowl champions and 2 Super Bowl contenders getting their favorite teams. Let's find out who's going to the Tampa Bay Bucks. And the answer to that question is Reese. Reese gets his hometown Bucks.
You guys suck.
Reese is a Tampa Bay Bucks fan. They weren't number one on his list, unfortunately, but they were high enough, and he gets some young talent. I know Stokes is going to go on and on about how good Levante David is, but Magic, I'm going to start with you. How much fun would it be to throw to Mike Evans for 5 or 6 seasons?
Man, bring back Lob City for those of us who are old enough to remember that. Old enough. I've been in AFL long enough.
Yeah.
Make SWAT great again.
Yes. Oh man, I'm very excited for Reese to get Winston and Mike Evans and Vincent Jackson and ASJ and Muscle Hamster and I guess the one guy on defense, 2 guys on defense. Gerald McCoy, he's good.
Now, they don't have that speed wide receiver, which is what Reese really liked in Madden 16, but in Madden 16, verticals were the thing of choice for all the players. So we'll see.
Hey, I'll trade Martavis Bryant for Mike Evans if you want, Reese.
Oh, would you?
Get a little speed there for you.
Stokes, would you do that trade?
I would take Martavis Bryant for Mike Evans.
All right, so it's approved.
Post it. RVD.
So where were the Bucks on his list? Were they top?
They were third.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, but
they were third, but that I think he had them the highest of anyone that did not get their top team.
Yeah.
Right.
And Reese is a really good owner. It's just unfortunate. He's another example of a guy that didn't get his top 2 teams because so many of the top 2 teams look similar. Just real quick, JD, so far you found out that KJ and Reese are going to be in your division. Reese is not a guy that's known for winning Super Bowls or really even contending for them. He does make the playoffs from time to time, but he is going to win the pregame chatter battle with you. So what are your thoughts on the 2 rivals we've revealed so far?
Well, both of these guys are quality players in my book. I mean, Reese can beat anybody when he's on. So I'll never look past Reese as far as an opponent. That's for sure. As far as the pre-chat battles go, I mean, whatever, man. Post your memes. Make everybody LOL. We don't care. That's okay.
Next year is Reese's year, I heard.
That's why you play the game.
Did you hear it from Reese?
That's why you play the game.
The thing about Reese is, I think he's really good. We always talk about the punch, the counter punch, and how you react to the counter punch. Reese throws a very good punch, but I noticed when I played him, at least in Madden 16, 17 could be a whole different game, he didn't necessarily adjust as well on the fly in-game. Well, he's in a division now with JD and KJ, 2 of the best adjusters in AFL, Super Bowl contenders for a reason. I think it has the potential, Stokes, to really elevate his game.
Absolutely. I think going against guys like that 4 times a year is only going to make him a better player. And this is going to be a lot of fun to see whether he does step up his game or if he wilts and he becomes just the 5 or 6 win guy that you don't really hear from except for when he's talking. So I think this is going to be a pretty important year for Reese.
Well, you know how much he enjoys learning. He's going to get a lot of teachable moments.
Boom! Shots fired. And RVD, we talked about on the Saints that you might have a quarterback of the future with Garrett Grayson. You hope it becomes that, but with the Bucks, there's no question who the quarterback of the future is.
Yeah, you definitely got a good quarterback there with Jameis Winston, and he's going to have some weapons there. He's got a good offense starting out, and I think it all really depends on that speed because he really relied on that speed from what we saw these past 2 Maddens. So we'll just have to see what he can do as far as trading or drafting or adjusting in that way.
You're right. He did depend a lot on the speed, but at the same time, I don't think cover 3 and all that's going to play out the same way it did in Madden 16. From everything I've been watching and listening to and reading, it's going to be different. There's not going to be guys running wide open down the field, at least from what I can tell. But we'll see. Yeah. We got to play it, but we'll see.
Well, Reese is trying to call in. Reese, if you can hear us, we will take your call whenever we're done revealing the 4th team. We definitely want to hear from you tonight and get your thoughts on this because this is your division.
I'll be out of here in about 4 minutes.
So. You got to get out of here in 4 minutes. Well, let's go ahead and reveal the 4th team in this division, and we'll fly through it because I know he's not listening, but he's going to be excited when he gets home, Stokes. Pick 6 gets the Carolina Panthers. So they have a good team. We can get into them in a bit. I'd like to have Stokes on here when Reese calls in. Stokes, you really like obviously the big names Cam Newton, Luke Kuechly, and Kelvin Benjamin, but they do have a safety on the team you're also a fan of.
Yeah, Colin Jones. He's usually a speed safety, and that can be really devastating if you're good with your user and you have a speed safety. I know Josh, you enjoy it with T.J. Green, and I think Colin
My
Jones.
Super Bowl.
Yeah, he's a fast safety, and that'll definitely help. And I mean, Pick will have the best team in the division, so it'll just be whether he can, build off that.
This is a fun division for me because obviously JD and KJ are the names that jump off the page, but Reese is a guy that's not going to back down from anybody. And then Pick's a guy that has a very underrated AFL career. He makes the playoffs, I would say, about 50% of the time. And Reese, again, we'll give you a call here in a bit. I will call you. You calling me. We'll just wreck shop and we'll have a clusterfuck like last time. But I'm looking forward to this. I don't think Pick. Well, I definitely don't think Reese is a guy that's going to back down from a challenge. Reese is not backing down from the challenge of me continuing to hang up on him because he keeps calling back. I could see a scenario where maybe Pick tries to trade out of this division. I hope he stays in for the fight, though, because I look forward to this division, RVD.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of talkers, not, some that start them, Reese, and then others who, can definitely go in and finish them like JD. But you've definitely got some personalities there that will definitely make it fun for a lot of us.
All right, well, as we say goodbye to Stokes, enjoy your dinner tonight, my friend.
Cheers.
We are going to try to add Reese to this call, and we're going to get his opinion on his division, as we now know what the NFC South will look like. Let me go down here and find his name.
And I know a lot of people were predicting this list, but I got thrown out to Mega. He was the first one that I saw that posted it out there for everyone to see.
Yeah, I was really impressed with how accurate guys were with their predictions. I didn't know if we had that many tells going on. What's going on, Reese? But I know Mega and Pick both at one point nailed this division perfectly. I know for Pick this was more of a worst-case scenario for him because let's not forget the added dimension that Pick traded spots with Nino. First of all, think about how this division would look with Nino in it. And secondly, I don't think when he traded spots with Nino, he was thinking he'd wind up landing here. But Reese, you've heard your three division rivals. You found out where you landed. Just what are your thoughts?
Well, I kind of knew Pick. I don't know. I guess he's breaking into you guys' emails or some shit because Pick's been in my inbox since like 2 days ago talking about, hey, man, this is going to be the division. What do you think? I pretty much told him still sharp and still. I mean, being in a division with KJ and JD both winning the Super Bowls. I think you guys hit it on the head. It's only going to make me better. None of those guys aren't going to be able to take a day off. But I mean, Pick, he's going to trade out the division. I can tell you that now. He's not going to enjoy Madden 17 in that division because he's not better than KJ. He's not better than JD, and he's damn sure not better than me. So, having the Bucks is I'm gonna move some people to get some things I like, but there's some people that are not gonna move. Evans is gonna stay there. Winston's gonna be good there, but I get a slot receiver in there like I like it. I don't know how the gameplay is gonna play, but the defense is gonna be crazy.
You have a nice defense, and what I was even thinking about while we were going through these teams is what you have on the Bucks is a lot of size. You don't have a lot of elite speed, but Jackson, Evans, Safarian Jenkins, whoever gets a team like the Colts where they have Moncrief, Hilton, Dorsett, they have a shit ton of speed on their wide receivers. You need to get with that owner, or maybe Costa got the Cardinals, their speed there, and be like, hey, you need size, I need speed, let's make a deal here and balance this thing out. So just because you start with size and not a lot of speed doesn't mean you can't get there. I love the young talent on this team. You get your hometown team. You are a Bucs fan, correct?
Yeah, I'm definitely. I'm a Bucs fan. I'm more of a Florida State fan anyway. So Winston at the helm is always a good thing. I put them third, honestly. I just fell in love with the Cardinals because I just like what they have on their squad. The Bucs definitely would have been my number 2 team. However, I wanted to get in that division with RVD. That's the reason why my second team was that team. But the Bucs are definitely, top on my list. So, all these other guys got their number 1 team. I really consider me getting my number 1 team outside of Arizona.
Yeah, you know what's cool about that, Reese, is what's pretty neat about this division is and I don't know Pick's affiliation, but you've got three guys that are diehard fans of the teams they have, which makes it harder for me to trade guys like Julio because now it's almost like, KJ's a Saints fan, you're a Bucks fan, I'm a Falcons fan. I almost feel, inclined to play you with those guys. You know what I'm saying? Like I want to keep the team together and win with that because all of you guys are fans of those guys in real life. And
absolutely, I'm not a one that trades a lot. I think I trade, but I don't trade a lot. But I want to make some moves to win. I got to make some moves to make my team better within the division first. But some of the core shit is going to be there. So I think it's going to be. I'm excited because, like I said, you two dudes aren't no slouch. Picks last, so I got to step up.
I mean, I think Pick would be stupid to trade out, and I'll tell you why.
He's going to trade out. I bet you money he'll trade out.
I think so too. I kind of already heard rumors he's been trying to work the line, so we'll see.
Dude, what are we going to get? Like, I don't know. We're not going to get another Super Bowl winner, I hope.
Well, if from somebody else's perspective, who's going to want to trade in?
Yeah,
that's true. It's kind of like that. What's that? The division last year? What was the NFC East?
I'll tell you who. Some guy that thinks they can beat us.
Yeah,
i.e. a Super Bowl winner.
Talk enough shit to Nino, he'll come there. I'm looking forward to this division a lot. Reese, I know what you heard. What I said earlier about it'll improve your game. Look no further than Nino and KJ last year in AFL Restart. They played each other twice a year, so one of them always had to play a wild card game. But if you notice, whoever played a wild card game would always go on a playoff run. So I think when you look at it, by the time this division is probably going to send 2 teams to the playoffs most seasons, and some seasons even 3. And by the time you guys get there, you guys are going to be battle tested. Whereas, I'm not throwing Cheese under the bus. He didn't pick his division, but a guy like Cheese, who isn't playing the Super Bowl quality players throughout the season, he's going to get to the playoffs, and it's going to be like, oh man, now I got to play JD, now I got to play KJ, and you guys have all played each other. Reese, same thing. You're going to have 4 games a year against Super Bowl contenders. So if you make the playoffs, even as a 6th seed, you're not going to be intimidated going to play Stop Cheese's Seahawks. Because it's like, yeah, I've been playing JD and KJ all season. So.
That's very true. And when I had the Patriots last year, I can't remember whoever all was in my division, which tells you how weak it was. But it was Morrow for a while, and I can't remember. It was pretty bad though. Who had the Bills and the Dolphins? I can't remember. So, but when I would get to the playoffs, I would have to really get in a different place because I was in cruise control for literally weeks at a time, just beating people 42-7 and not even really thinking, just kind of going. And if I went in the playoffs with that mentality, I would get beat.
Didn't you go somewhere, travel somewhere, and you had a bunch of sim games and you still won the division?
I think I had 2. I think I did. Yeah, I went somewhere. I think I went away for Christmas, and I had 2 sim games and still won the division, yeah.
Well, RVD, what are your thoughts on this division? You've known about it for a while. We've been excited about it for a while. I'm excited to see how it turns out. What are you thinking?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a fun division. A lot of personality there. And to me, it's one of the divisions that has a lot of really good teams to it. So, it's already fun to watch. So to have these guys, these caliber players, take these teams, it's definitely going to be fun to watch.
And Reese, what I think about your game is interesting is you don't always make the playoffs, but it's not like you can't hang with the big dogs. Whenever you play good owners, for the most part, you're in those games and you've even won those games. To me, what happens on your season is you'll be within striking distance of making the playoffs, and then you lose back-to-back games to Vane and Pick. And that's where the consistency in your game needs to tighten up, is to be on that elite level. You just have to make sure you're winning the games that you're supposed to win at about a 95% clip. And I think being in this division, there's going to be no room for error. JD and KJ twice a year each, you're going to have to really step it up and take care of business against those guys that on your schedule you look at as guys you need to win against.
Oh, absolutely. And I think, honestly, what I figured out my problem last year's game is I got too – I had a pretty decent – you guys always talk about the fucking verts and shit, but I had a pretty decent scheme that got me, 8, 9 plays in, and then I started recycling a lot of shit, so I was very predictable. Like, I promised myself this year that I'm going to expand it up a whole lot more on the O end, so you don't really know which way I'm coming from. I gotta expand my running game. That's for sure. I'm going to be a passing team. That's just the nature. But absolutely, anybody that's not in the NFC South, I gotta take care of business. I gotta win those games for sure because the division games are going to be tough. It's going to be dogfights.
It's going to be a fun division to watch. So we know the 4 AFC South teams. Just to recap, the Atlanta Falcons go to JD, the Tampa Bay Bucks go to Reese, Pick 6 gets the Carolina Panthers, and KJ gets the Saints. I'm going to go around to everybody else now on the phone and see if we have any final thoughts. Magic, I'll start with you.
Really excited to see who's going to take Pick's spot in this division.
Over under on how many days until we hear about him trying to sell this spot? I think it happens tonight.
Yeah.
That he actually sells it, or that we hear about him selling it?
That we hear he's trying to sell it.
He doesn't have the balls.
Tonight's almost over, so he might not hear the show.
You know who
I'll say tomorrow.
You know who the Adam Schefter of AFL is? It's Sham. If you go into anybody's private message and try to buy a team or make a trade, Sham hears about it. He's got his ear to the ground. He's friends with everybody. Sham's going to be the one that comes to my PM tomorrow morning and says, "Hey, by the way, I heard Pick was talking to so-and-so." So if he does it, we'll find out about it because Sham is our Adam Schefter. RVD, any final thoughts on this division?
No, I mean, I've said pretty much what I need to say. Great teams, great owners. It's going to be fun to watch.
And for me, I look forward to once we get all the divisions set and we do our first division preview show where we go through all the divisions and predict winners. I look forward to really breaking this division down, looking at where these rosters are at with the 75-man rosters, seeing what kind of cuts you make, how you guys form your rosters to counter each other, because you have 3 good players who all play 3 very different styles of football. And now let's leave the last 2 comments for the guys that are going to be playing in this division. We'll start with Reese. Reese, final thoughts?
Only thing I'm going to say, man, is fire them cannons.
The cannons are there, and whether you like them or not, every time the Bucks score, you're going to hear those cannons.
So
JD, you better start playing. You better play defense when you go to Tampa, or else you're going to hear those cannons fire. What are your thoughts on this division?
Time to get the game up, man. This is going to be this is the real deal for real. I'm pretty excited. Like I know I said there's a lot of people acting kind of like it was, whatever, but it's not going to be boring at all. This is going to be fun, especially having guys that are fans of the teams they own.
It makes it so much different. You mentioned the fact about trading Julio. The other aspect is if you trade Julio to, say, Magic, there's nothing that says Magic might not turn around and trade Julio to Reese a week later, and all of a sudden Julio's coming to the Georgia Dome.
I can't have that.
Yeah, wearing a Bucks uniform, scoring touchdowns, and it's scary to trade your players. So I look forward to this. I've had it both ways. I've been in divisions with guys like Stop Cheese and K-Will, and those were the years I made my deep playoff runs because we went to the playoffs and we were all ready. Now, you were sweating it out until week 17 to see if you got in. So there was no like, oh, well, it's week 16. I'm 4 games ahead of the next closest guy so I can try to pad stats. No, I mean, you had to win everything. And I've been in divisions where the competition wasn't very much. The divisions were easy. Regular season games weren't that stressful. I mean, yeah, it was easy. It was fun. I worried more about stats than wins. And then I got to the playoffs, and generally it took me about a quarter or 2 to adapt to the level of competition in the playoffs. So I think if you guys embrace this challenge, which it sounds like the 2 guys on the phone are, and I guarantee you KJ is, this is going to be, I think, one of the most fun divisions to watch. I can't wait till the rest of AFL can see how the rest of these divisions shape up. So, JD, Reese, thanks for calling in again.
Peace.
RVD, the pleasure was yours as always.
Always.
Magic, any final thoughts? Doesn't matter.
There's my Burger King.
You went to Burger? You put us on hold for Burger King?
No. While I was out, I did something, and then I got Burger King.
We have some breaking news from Adam Schefter.
He's work on that.
An offer has been made to Pick. I don't know what that means, but keep your ear to the ground.
Hey, we'll Josh, do we have an overview of all the teams? Like, what was the other NFC? What's left in the NFC? Just the East and the.
So
No.
East and the North.
the East and the
Okay.
North, and we already know that I'm going to the Vikings. And then in the AFC, we
Everything
have
but the
everything but the East. And RVD, actually, this brings up another point. Prime mentioned that we should go AFC, NFC, AFC, NFC, and we hadn't really thought about that, but that does make some sense, doesn't it?
It definitely does, because I can definitely see us finding out all about the NFC with 3 AFC divisions still left to be shown. Because I'm pretty sure, if I remember the votes right, NFC East was number 2. So there's high likelihood that they're going to be number 1 this next time.
I mean, you could always catch up the AFC and then revote for the next one once you're back to even.
Yeah, for sure. So we'll probably go AFC divisions remaining for the next one, and then once we're back to 2-2, we'll put all the rest of the divisions up for a vote.
Yeah.
Smart move, JD. I see why they pay you the big bucks.
Hey, what problem solver, Josh?
And then, as JD mentioned, it's probably about time now that we have 3 divisions in that we get some sort of a graphic created that shows where all the teams that have already been handed out are. So I'll start working on that over the next couple days. We're back on the air on Sunday to reveal our 4th division. And don't
Be
forget,
halfway point.
we will be at the halfway point. I can't believe it's already flying by that much. And then be on the lookout tomorrow for the next edition of AFL Timeline History. And I forget where we left off. I think we're going to be at Season 5 of Madden 12. So we're creeping through Madden 12, and Madden 13 will be here before you know it. We're having a lot of fun with that and getting a lot of good feedback. So until Sunday, we will talk to you later, AFL.